Hey folks, it's Rob, and this is Prison Architect Alpha Build 22, and welcome back to part 2 of How to Prison Architect. This episode is about getting started, okay? So I've loaded up the prison we generated when I was showing you how to generate prisons in the previous episode, and because I kind of liked it, so I thought I'd keep it and use it for this purpose. Now, getting started. Now, as you can see, I've already stopped time. We got the guys coming in. Feel free to let them come in, you know. You're going to need to do a few things. First thing I would recommend is go straight to Grants and take out Administration Center. Okay? You're going to need these things. You might as well just get started on it. Now, choose a location where you want to put the admin office. Now, you might want to recycle one of these buildings, but these are just walls, remember. There's no actual foundation involved there. There's no roof. So, use them in conjunction with your other structures for, like, walled areas to build around and things like that. I like to use them because they add interest, but there's absolutely no reason to generate buildings if you don't want to. There's no functional difference between concrete buildings and brick buildings except the aesthetics. Brick buildings look like that. Okay? So, let's go into the planning mode and show you what to do here. So, we know that a room like an office, if you can check here, has a minimum size of 4x4. So, if I go to planning and I go, hey, okay, I need to fit an office. It's got to be at least that wide and that tall. So, we got to line that up and... Right, so that's an office, right? That's how big an office has to be. Can't be any smaller than that. You don't have to have the interior wall if you don't want it. In fact, you can have pretty much an open plan kind of office arrangement. Now, let's see. So that's... I like to have some walls, though, so I'm just going to plan around that. So I need to have 2 offices, okay? And I'll need to hire a warden and unlock finance through bureaucracy. So, this is all that's absolutely required, but I'm going to put in enough... I would plan ahead, because you're going to need more offices. And you're going to need a bit of working space for your staff to be in. So, having enough room for, say, like another office... would be a good idea. Maybe a hallway, maybe a cleaning cupboard down the line for your staff areas. Yeah, let's see here. So there we go. If I put them like that, see, that would leave this, and then bring that over. So we could have this here. Right. Now see, that's only 3. That doesn't work. But we just go bing, 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 and bing, and there we go. So I have a hallway here. Now, cleaning cupboards have to be 3x3, so I can't use this as a cleaning cupboard, but it is an accessible hallway. And there we go. Call that my office block. And then we'll put a bit more on the front end here. 1, 2, 3. Something big enough to put the cleaning cupboard into. And a staff area, right? And then make sure it has a door to get out. So let's take a foundation. And just drag it over the whole thing. And it doesn't matter if there's any, like, trees in your way. They will knock them down. Okay, it's going to need an entrance, and we did plan for that. And because it's a staff building, I'm going to put a staff door here. So staff can get in and out easily, but prisoners need to be let in. Okay. And we just put time back on. These goods and services will, basically this stuff will just start to happen, because you can see a delivery of stuff shows up and they start working on it. See, one guy's already knocking down the tree. Decision you may want to make is exports. you can either choose to put up an export area for your trees right now, because trees can be sold as lumber, just as logs basically. Just put an export area anywhere you want, as long as it's accessible to the road, and things will be taken to exports and hauled away, essentially. And when they leave the premises, you get cash for it. So it could be a short-term cash solution for you knocking down trees. You don't have to hire more workers right now unless you want to. But remember, you're under no pressure at the moment, because all you need to do is over here, switch off the prisoner intake, and you don't have to worry about the prisoners showing up. You can see the logs are there. Those logs will be taken to my exports area and eventually sold off. I could also manually sell off the logs if I choose to. So there we go. And you can see we now have a shell of a building. We go to materials, and I can put in internal walls. Now, because I already planned that out, it's real simple and easy. And since I know I want to make like one of these corners into a cleaning cupboard, I'll just do that too. That way I can put a door there, and this will be like a staff break area. And meanwhile, I'll go to my planning, and I will just select one of these and right-click over and wipe out the plan, because I've basically used it. Don't worry about what it says about the regime right now. You have no prisoners, so it doesn't make any difference. Now you see these little flashing lights. These are lights without any power, and currently there is no power generation on site. Now you can see we don't have any doors on anything here, but doors aren't so much important. We're going to assign some rooms. So you go over here to room, office, and let's assign our first office. Okay, now we'll mouse over that. You can see it says 4x4. Well, we know we did that right, so it's going to eventually give us the 4x4. It's going to recognize that it's the right shape. It needs an office desk, a chair, a filing cabinet. It has to be indoors. Now, it is indoors. And you can see it's updated to, okay, yeah, it's indoors, alright. But it needs an office desk, chair, and filing cabinet. So we go to Objects, Office Desk, and you can just put this however you want, really, but I like to kind of spin it around using R. So it's kind of facing the doorway, because, you know, he's a warden, he's a dodgy character. He keeps an eye on who might be visiting him. And you put a chair in, and the filing cabinet, which for some reason, yeah, there we are, filing cabinet. I'll just stick it in the corner there. And once these have been installed by my workers, these requirements will disappear. They'll be turned from red to green. Here comes the filing cabinet. So there we go. We have the office installed. Okay. Now, go over here to staff and hire your warden and drop him in. And then we go, give it a moment so recognize that you have the warden. We go to bureaucracy, and we go to finance, and we click finance. Okay, you have to spend this money to be able to complete the thing. So we'll start kitting out the next office that we're going to need, because we're going to need the second one. I could have kitted out both offices at the same time. However, had I done so, the warden would have made his own choice as to where he wanted to be. This way, I'm making the decisions. Up to you. Run it the way you want. I'm going to stick her desk there, and her chair here, and her filing cabinet up there, and no one's getting a door, because I'm not spending money on doors at the moment. Don't have to have a door to make that a room, and he will work in the dark. Another thing you might want to do that doesn't cost anything at the moment, and you can change these as we go along, is set a storage area, right? That way, deliveries come in here, but the excess is moved back to storage. See, like right now, there's all these like piles of bricks in here. So workers will now move the excess bricks into storage later. It's a low priority thing, but they'll do it. See, like this guy's moving a pallet of bricks right now. And okay, so that bell told us that something's been done. Oh yes, we've gotten the second office in order. So we're unlocking finance, and we'll need to hire an accountant. While we're working on that, let's look at utilities. Okay, so go to Utilities tab. You can see here. Now the power station can be indoor or outdoor. It doesn't need to be indoor or outdoor. The water pump station used to never have to be indoor or outdoor either, but in my experience, lately it's been wanting to be indoors. Let's make use of this building I have here. But no, let's not, because this is a tutorial guide for you. So I would normally have probably put my utilities into something like this, but I'm going to actually build a custom purpose thing for it. So going to my foundations, I'm just going to choose one concrete this time, and I'm going to put up... Now, if you need to know exactly what we're planning, and this is a good way to think it through, first off, the main electric utility is 3x3, okay? And you're going to want a space all the way around the electric generator for capacitors, because they have to be adjacent. Okay. The water pump, if you want to save time and money, you can stick next to the generator, like so. And that's your basic core. Okay, so then you're going to want to plan a room around that, and you don't have to leave space unless you want to around it. It's more of an aesthetic concern. The game lets you just kind of walk through the capacitors. So this would work, right? You could have it like this, and a little door, and that would be adequate. And in fact, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so get a concrete building foundation, just because I feel like it. There we go. And we'll stick a staff door on there again, so that staff can get in and out. And there, we'll let that happen. And again, I'll just clear my planning. And we'll turn up the speed. Bam! That's the structure built. So we go to utilities. You start out with a power station for absolutely nothing. Like I said, it's a 3x3, so we'll just stick it right there. We get a free capacitor to start out with, so I'm going to stick that right there. And here's my water pump station. I'm just going to stick that right there. You start with one of those for free as well. You can have multiple versions of these. Nothing says you can't. You can't transmit utilities through water or across the road. So if you build this land expansion on the far side of the road, you're going to need to build a separate utilities point for this side of the road. Now the office block doesn't need water, and you're going to run through capacitance pretty quick. So I'm going to put a second capacitor up here, and I'm just going to run my utility power out like this. And make sure I'm close enough to the power up to the lights that they can connect up. You can see the power is feeding directly through the capacitor into the water pump station, which allows us to have water and power. The other capacitor is being installed, and this guy's going to bring in cable. And this other guy's putting cable down in the building. So back here in grants, right, you have Staff Wellbeing Initiative. I would recommend you grab that, okay? Because it's easiest to satisfy right now. Right, so let's get into a staff room. So, I mentioned that before, and it's part of the requirement here. So, oh, and see the lights went on. Excellent. So we go into rooms and see staff room, and its requirements are 4x4 inside, wide sofa, drink machine. So I have a 4x4 space right here I can use. I know I planned that as an office, but the 4x4 requirement's fairly new. I used to be able to fit into something like this. And so in objects, well, I need a wide sofa, and I need a drink machine. There we go. Once those are installed, the staff room will be built. Now I need to hire an accountant, who I will just drop here into our office. And I would recommend you go grab the extra grant. The other things are up to you. Tax relief does improve your profitability. Takes a fair bit of time to research. Land expansion allows you to buy more plots of land around you. You probably don't need that right away. Bank loan allows you to borrow money, which generally, if you're doing this right, you probably won't need to. But, I mean, it's always possible. So there's my staff room. Now I need to have 5 unexhausted guards. 5 guards without duties and no one's exhausted. So just hire them right now. No one's doing anything, so no one's exhausted. That's the grant satisfied, and I've been paid. Right. So, as you can see, if we go to grants, those grants are done. Okay? Now we're looking at, like, long and short-term investments, and that's fine if you don't have anything a grant's doing and you have plenty of time. Short-term investment takes quite a while for the money to come back. Long-term investment takes freaking forever. You put $5,000 aside out of your budget. You pay out $5,000. You get $16,000 once the thing's done. Okay, so it says $11,000, but it's basically $5,000 out of your pocket now for $16,000 later, which is fine, but it takes a long time for that to happen. If you're short of funds, don't rely on this to save you. The basic detention center is what's next, essentially, because you're going to need to house prisoners, and this lets you get the basics up and going. So we'll cover that in the next part of the series as we build the basic detention center. Right now I'm just going to talk a bit more about this little office complex I have here. So I would recommend, essentially, that you plan on future expansion, right? You're going to need an office for each of these guys here on the bureaucracy tree. The maintenance guy needs an office, the security guy needs an office, every psychologist that you have needs an office. The doctors work in the infirmary, and education, they don't have an office, they get classrooms. Okay? Groundskeepers, they don't have offices, they just work on the grounds. Cleaners have to have cleaning cupboards. And some of your cleaning cupboards are probably going to be part of prison labor where you have prisoners doing cleaning. But you may well want to have places where prisoners aren't allowed, in which case you need to have staff janitors. Probably at least one. Now, guards and dogs, they have their own special requirements, but they don't get offices either. But so if we go through the offices that you have to have the warden, you have to have the finance, you have to have maintenance, you have to have the security officer. You can choose to not have a mental health officer, but you'll never satisfy your grants properly if you don't have it. You could always fire him later, but he's also part of your reform programs, so you may want him. If you have those guys, you're going to have 5 offices at the very least. Okay? Plus, the staff room is now a 4x4, so having a 6 office block thing would work out just fine. If this was a little larger, right, move this wall down by 1. That would work just great, except that you wouldn't have the cleaning cupboard in there. But I mean, you could always have a staff cleaning shack, right? Another thing that you may want to do before you really get started with some prisoners is just set up Just some essential security. If you go into materials and you're fencing's free currently. And until that changes, fencing's a great way to secure places, okay? Prisoners are going to come in through the delivery section here, and so you need to make sure that you fence off, for security purposes, enough of the area for things so that they can't escape, okay? These walls do come in handy for that. They can't just escape through the walls. Another thing, as part of that, though, you'll probably want to put up a road gate just so you can control access in and out of the prison, right? Because if you put up road gates, you can have a fence that basically includes the road, and they can't just escape through the road after if you've neglected them sitting around in deliveries. Is there anything else I should cover right now? Suppose we could look at floors. It's in materials. Some floors have an effect, some floors don't have much of an effect. Some are more expensive than others, and some of these are actually outdoor, some are indoor, right? See, like gravel's outdoor only, walk speed slow. Grass, walk speed slow. Paving stone, walk speed fast, right? It's useful to use paving stones or concrete tiles, because walk speed is fast, to assign pathways, right? That way, if things need to get around in your prison, you have a fast way of travel. Same goes with inside the prison. The metal floors are fast travel speed, right? So, like this corridor here, you could have a metal floor right down there to make sure it's faster to get around. Or maybe you want a decorative floor, The concrete floor is fast as well, but that's basically your default floor. Okay, mosaic floors are attractive and fancy tiles. Normal walk speed, indoor only. Maybe you like having a hardwood floor. That's more an aesthetic choice. Honestly, in your administrative center, not very important what kind of floor you put down. It's more an aesthetic choice than anything else. Same goes through inside the utilities. You may want to plan ahead when you go to construct your next building, though, to put the utilities into there, right? Run your electrics out, run your water over to where you're planning on building this, so that it gets done. But we'll cover this again in the next part of the series. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.